tutorial is going to teach you how to create text and text animations, but we don't have any footage, so we're going to have to make our own composition from nothing. So go composition, new composition, and you can see we've got some settings here. We've got frame width and height, we got the shape of our pixels, we've got frame rates and things like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to just pick one of these ones down here, and I'm going to go with this 721 here. So HDV, this one here. So it's 1280 by 720. 29.97 is fine for frame rate. Resolution's fine how it is. That's good. Background color's fine, but we're going to change duration, and we're going to change this to 1250. And this is going to become apparent a little bit later on why we did it exactly 1250. Press OK. Now you'll see our composition right here. So just click down on your composition timeline, then click Layer, New, Solid, and we're just going to pick black. Press OK, and you notice we've got our black solid. That's going to be our background. Now we just need text. So using the text tool, which is this one up here, we are going to just draw a box, and we're going to write information technology. Now we're just going to drag this so that it sort of fits in the middle. Now we can use this little option down here, which is title and action safe, and if we check that, we can see exactly where our text will line up, and we can put it right in the middle. I don't want it perfectly in the middle because we're going to have some more text anyway, so I'm just going to move it over a little bit. Go back to my text tool, click back on it, and I'm pressing enter to space out my text, and then I'm going to move it up a little bit so that it sort of fits in between that little crosshair in the middle there. Right, now I'm going to grab my text tool again, and I'm going to make another text box, and I'm going to call this one MCS without a D. And I'm going to increase the size, which you can find just over here. That's font size there. If you can't see this, you just got to click on these options over here. I'm going to move that down a little bit. And I still haven't made it big enough. I might just increase its size until it sort of fits with the other font. I'm going to have to make my text area a little bit bigger so that it fits. There we go. I'm going to actually move it over a little bit because I've got a logo that I'm going to shove in here as well. So I'm just going to move that over. Alright, so you should have these two. I don't really mind what font you use. I'm using the Century Gothic one. That's up to you. But I want it to sort of fit like so. Because what we're going to do now, if we go to the resources for this tutorial, I'm going to drag in some music and a logo. And the logo is going to go in next. And it's a little bit big right now, and I'm going to shrink that down and then hold shift as I'm shrinking so that it stays the right shape. And I'm going to put that in there until it fits. Sweet. Alright, now we've got text in here, but we want to add some effects to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a bit of a stroke and background color. So if I click on this area here, and you'll notice that we've got two color options. The foreground is obviously the fill color, as it says, and then this is the stroke color. At the moment there's no stroke, there's no outline, but we're going to just add one for the sake of this tutorial so you guys learn something useful. I'm just going to pick a light kind of blue color. That'll do. So if you want to make sure that that color is identical on your other bit of text, highlight this color here, this color code, press Ctrl C, press OK, and now when we choose our other text, double click it to select it, go to stroke, and then type in your color code. It's probably already saved there for you anyway. There you go, doesn't matter. Now to animate our text or our still image, we can use the effects and presets column here, and you can either type up something you know from memory, or you can have a search through. And if you use the animation presets, there's a combination of different animations put together into some cool effects. So we're going to go the text ones, obviously, and you'll notice there are lots of different options here. We've got all these different kinds of animations. Now there are lots of them, and it could take you a very long time to view them all. Particularly if you pick one. I'm going to pick this blur one, and I'm going to go blur by word. If I drag that onto my timeline and pick the thing that I want to apply it to, like my MCS text here, you'll notice it disappears because that's the beginning of the animation, and then as you play it, it'll appear with a bit of a blur. Again, you could drag it in every time you want to test it. That'll take you a bit of time. Press Ctrl Z to undo that animation. Go to Adobe Bridge, which you'll find in your Start menu. It'll open up like this. You need to go to this PC, the C drive, then go to Program Files, Adobe After Effects, Support Files, and then find Presets. And here we are in our presets. It's the same here. So this is the Effects and Presets column, just in folder view. And if we go to Text, then you can see all the different things we looked at. So if I go to Blurs, and where is it? Blur by word. You'll see that's the effect that I just used. Okay, so you can have a look through all the different ones that you like. I'm going to go with this Animate In one and this Raining Characters one. That looks interesting. I might use that for the information technology text. So go back, and we're going to just go to Blur by word. I'll drag that one back in again. That's fine. And I want this to start, so that'll blur in first. And then I'm going to go to where is it? Animate In, and then I'm going to pick Raining Characters in. I'm going to drag that over Information Technology. Now have a look at my timeline. It's on 1.5 seconds. Wherever you start your animation from is where it will begin from, obviously in your timeline. So make sure that you do it in the order that you want. That's what I was after. So that'll animate, that'll drop in. And then as that one's coming down to probably about here at the 3.5 second mark, I'm going to try and make my logo fade in. And I'm going to do that just with a bit of manual. Oh, actually, maybe I'll just use this blur and sharpen. And I'm going to pick this Gaussian blur. And I'm going to drag that on to my logo. But I'm also going to fade that out. So if you click down here on your properties and go to transform opacity, I'm going to fade that out, and I'm just going to go hit the stopwatch so that it starts fading in from this point, and then I'm going to let it fade in for about a second. Put that back up to 100% so the fade effect goes for a second, and I might even make it blur at the same time. So put your current time indicator right over the keyframe that we've just made for the beginning, so at the 0 opacity point. And we're going to also check the stopwatch for blurriness, and we're going to increase that to maybe 30. You can just write it, that always helps. And then as it comes in, it's going to be blurry. And as we get to where it fully fades in, I'm going to change that back to 0 again, so that it fades and blurs in at the same time. There we go. Alright, let's add a 3D camera. So just go click on your timeline, layer, new camera, say OK. Make sure you've checked the 3D box options, and then we're going to go to the very start. We're going to go to our camera properties, transform. Actually, we'll just go forward a little bit just so we can see where stuff is. Alright, use the orbit camera tool. And we're going to rotate, and as you rotate, hold shift so that it rotates on a normal plane, and we're going to start about here, and then go to the very beginning. So move your time indicator to the start, tick both point of interest and position, and then we're going to scroll this thing to about 3.5 seconds and then hit reset. And that's going to reset it all to where we want it to be. Right, and I'm going to change these keyframes here by highlighting them, then right-clicking, and I'm going to check this keyframe interpolation thing, and then change that to a continuous Bezier. Press OK. It should be a little bit smoother now. Alright, we're going to go to Effect, once you got logo selected, Effect, Generate, and we're going to pick Light Rays. What we're going to do is we're going to move the light ray center across the middle of our logo. So we're going to, if you click on this option here, you can see it's right there, and we're going to move it out to the top left. That's the center there. We're going to hit the stopwatch. Make sure you're around 4.5 seconds on your timeline, and then we're going to move this on to about 8 seconds, 8.5. And we're going to move our little center point past it over there, like that. So the light shines through, sort of shines off a few of the colours and things like that. Okay, now not very dramatic at the moment, because we need to increase things like intensity and radius. So now as it passes through, it should be a little bit brighter. There we go. A little bit more of that kind of stuff. So that's what we want. We're going to add a final finishing touch, which is a really corny explosion. So let's drag that in from, grab the aerial explosion, drag it in. Grab your aerial explosion, drag it in. Just make sure it's in front of your background. And we need to make sure it is happening right here at the end. About there, that's good. And then we'll just move it up. Make it a little bit bigger so that it fits. There we go. No problem. Use your key light effect that you've learned previously. You can turn off this title save thing as well if that's in the way. And there you have it. That's kind of corny. That's alright. Now just go to Project, see the music, drag that into the bottom layer, and that should take up about 12.5 seconds, which is about there. Trim your comp down if it's too big. Trim comp to work area. And that should be it. I might just play that for you quickly. Alright, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. You can move on to the next task.